all afraid of something or other, and that's normal. But some fears can get in the way of achieving things in life, especially when our fear turns into a phobia. The way phobias can control our body and mind can make it difficult for us to confront objects or things that are actually not threats. Many a time phobias are just random and have no underlying meaning. However, most develop because of some kind of unknown or known trauma. Here are 10 of the most bizarre phobias that you too may be suffering from. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, now could be a great time. Just saying. Phobophobia. There can be some people who are not afraid of some specific situation, but feel frightened to suffer from any sort of phobia. Yes, there are such people, and their condition is known as phobophobia. This fear of phobias is actually related to panic attacks and anxiety disorders. The disease tends to be overwhelmingly associated with generalized anxiety disorder, which is also known as free-floating fears. Experts have pointed out that this phobia is quite distinct from other forms of phobia. No environmental stimulus is involved in this phobia, whereas other forms are initiated by some stimulus. The affected person doesn't see anything which needs to be reacted upon. Rather, he or she feels internal fear and may experience panic attacks. The psychological state of the patient's mind leads to an anxious response, which causes further anxiety and a dreadful vicious cycle. In other words, it's sort of a fear which people experience before they actually experience dreaded phobias. It really seems quite puzzling. However, it still shares several common symptoms with those who suffer from other phobias, such as dizziness, accelerated heartbeat, hyperventilation, tension, faintness, profuse sweating, avoidance, and angst. The good news is that phobophobia can be treated with common methods already used for curing panic disorders, which have been quite effective. Both phobias have many commonalities. Xanthophobia. Being afraid of a color, particularly yellow, may certainly seem bizarre. However, it is a fact that xanthophobia may have been developed because of a connection the color yellow may have to some disturbing experience. For instance, in China, people started becoming afraid of the color yellow because it was an imperial scarf's color that signified an order to commit suicide. Because of this relation, people started becoming afraid of any object that was yellow in color, even if it had no relation to that initial horrific reminder. If one suffers from xanthophobia, they will close their eyes anxiously or even have a panic attack if they see something as harmless as a daffodil. Such people also find it difficult to eat cheese, bananas, eggs, or even drink lemonade because of their yellow hue. Phagophobia. We're all aware that swallowing is a natural function of the body, specifically as part of the digestive system. Whenever you accumulate saliva in your mouth, as an immediate reaction, you swallow it. Similarly, while eating food, you chew and then swallow it. However, these routine actions have become a terrible phobia for some. Just consider how would you feel if you were going through a frightening experience whenever you tried to chew something. We all know that the body is naturally designed to perform these tasks. Experts believe that this phobia is not attributed to anything wrong medically. You wouldn't be able to diagnose any physical reason among the people suffering from this ailment. One may inquire why someone should have problem in swallowing. In the past, it had also been known as choking phobia. However, it was found that people suffering from this disorder actually had a fear related to swallowing. In fact, the affected persons actually dreaded the swallowing process itself instead of its consequences. Researchers also think that fear of swallowing can lead to a fear of taking food, which results into weakness and weight loss as well as malnutrition. People conscious of eating or suffering from phagophobia prefer to drink only liquids or eat really soft foods so that they can effectively manage their phobia. You may be surprised to know that phagophobia is not always initiated by a negative or eating experience. The reason for this phobia may remain unknown, and it also can become a huge problem over time. Anyone who's a victim of this phobia must not take it lightly. Rather, you must seek help from a therapist as to reduce its effects. Hylophobia. Derived from the Greek word hylo, which means forest, and phobia meaning fear, Hylophobia is perhaps the most understandable phobias on this list because of the way forests are constantly depicted in books and movies as a lonely and scary place. However, there is a difference between a phobia and the fear of being left alone in a forest. People who suffer from hylophobia get very anxious and display other symptoms like nausea, dryness of mouth, excessive sweating, shaking, and so on. Scopophobia. A large number of people can relate with this type of phobia. This disorder is basically associated with the fear of social conditions, which leads to anxiety. Social activities such as being introduced to new people, being called out to in public places, teasing, or criticism by peers are all situations which result in becoming embarrassed, and that can lead to the development of scopophobia. Symptoms associated with this type of phobia are similar to those with anxiety disorders. A person who is a victim of this phobia can feel fear, terror, and manifest panicky behavior. It can be displayed by increased heartbeat rate, dryness of throat, body shaking, nausea, as well as shortness of breath. In some demanding social situations, certain people may also show signs of hyperventilation, dizziness, and excessively watering and redness of eyes. In short, this phobia can be described as fear of being seen or stared at by others. You may be quite confidently performing your routine activities in public, such as shopping and other errands, but it's only possible if you're fully assured that you're not the center of attention. Most that suffer from scopophobia usually don't become a successful public speaker. Experts have identified certain ways which can help in treating the symptoms of this phobia or reduce its impact to a greater extent in one's daily routine. One of the most recommended practices is desensitization. It involves someone staring at the affected person for an extended duration while the individual describes his or her feelings. Experienced therapists can help to unearth the reasons which instill the fear and try to revert it. Pantherophobia. It's a general perception all over the world that people usually don't have a good relationship with their mother-in-law. Therefore, the internet and media are overloaded with hilarious jokes related to the subject. More often than not, it's women who seem to struggle with having a healthy relationship with their mothers-in-law in comparison to men. If you have an extreme fear of your mother-in-law or a generally negative idea about her, then you may have the condition known as pantherophobia. It goes beyond simply not liking them. Rather, it's the feeling of disgust, hate, or loathing when you think about your mother-in-law or any mother-in-law. You may experience extreme agony, discomfort, anxiety, as well as extreme fear as a result of this phobia. The reason being is that it may be a result of traumatic incidents you may have faced earlier in life. However, it can also be caused by genetics, but the predominant cause of this disorder relates to the trauma you may have experienced at an early age. Victims of this phobia can suffer from shortness of breath, chest pains, heart palpitations, shivering, difficulty in speaking, extraordinary rapid speech, upset stomach, nausea, and much more. Doctors can prescribe medication to the people suffering from this disorder, but most often than not, these medicines are accompanied by side effects which you may have less of a chance curing. The best way to help cure this phobia is to get advice from a therapist who can dig out the root cause of the problem and learn some techniques to cope with the issue. Phobophobia. Phobophobia is the fear of youth. It was first known as the fear or loathing of teenagers. You may be interested to know how this fear was created. Well, politicians, harsh youth workers, and the media can play respective roles in developing this phobia among a segment of people. In developed and economically well-off countries, young people are encouraged or expected not to form part of a workforce or play any role in the society which has the potential to threaten adults. Astonishingly, people connected to sales and marketing of child safety products and teachers at different educational levels may also play a part in inducing phobophobia. In addition, the selling and installation of digital or computer surveillance, metal detectors, CCTV cameras, and X-ray machines in schools has led to feelings that teenagers cannot be trusted. We can also see print as well as electronic media propagating youth as self-centered and self-absorbed. They are also treated as a troublesome lot. In a lot of countries, government's legislation and politics are focused on children to strengthen and ensure their well-being. Data shows that such laws or regulations like anti-cruising laws and curfews also contribute towards this phobia. In certain cases, anti-loitering courts rule against the rights of youth, just by the gathering of innocent youth outside shopping areas or markets. Therefore, we can assume that phobophobia is more common than we thought. Anetidophobia. Quite like the term, the condition associated with anetidophobia is unusual and irrational, but it's not considered a matter worth laughing at, as those who suffer from it face quite discomforting conditions. Experts have described this phobia to be the fear of a goose or duck looking at you. Actually, it may not be dread of being harmed or attacked by a goose or duck. It may be related to an individual thinking that he or she is being constantly watched by a duck or goose found in their general area. In some people, this phobia grew so strong that they were often too frightened to even leave their houses to get help for it. In such cases, patients may even have a consistent thought in their mind that a duck or goose would be waiting for them in the shadows while they're walking on busy streets or by marketplaces. A person suffering from anetidophobia may also be having agoraphobia, the fear of leaving the house. You may be interested to know that what actually causes this disorder may be created due to a traumatic past experience involving ducks or geese. The person may have been attacked or chased by a goose or duck as a child. People suffering from Anetidophobia may be aggressive or violent by nature. In such cases, they may have had more than one negative encounter involving these animals. Omphophobia. All over the world, there's a very small number of people who suffer from this phobia. However, the number of affected people is sufficient enough to give it a specific name. Omphophobia is connected to looking at a belly button. People suffering from omphophobia feel scared of their own belly button or seeing belly buttons in general. They feel frightened or disgusted seeing or even touching their own or other people's belly buttons. The fear may be induced just by thinking about a belly button. Many reasons which led to this phobia are considered to be associated with traumatic or negative incidents experienced by the individual during their childhood. Some kids are fascinated to look and play with their belly button, but sometimes they end up hurting their belly button while doing so and become scared. Usually people find some particles or dirt in there and start cleaning it to the extent that it becomes red. They may start feeling angry and might perceive that the doctor had left a cord behind in their navel at the time of birth. This thought and feeling can generate an anxious response. Particularly in more severe cases of omphophobia, the cause can be traced back to inappropriate touch or abuse around the navel during childhood. Consequently, a phobic behavior is adopted as a protective measure or defense mechanism. Sometimes it is also connected with the thought that if someone touches their belly button or navel, their guts will spill out. Dextrophobia. Let me ask you a simple question. Do you have people and items around you? Do you feel discomfort or uneasiness by things present towards your right side? You may find some people, while sitting on their sofa watching a TV show, will keep their remote and cushions nearby, but they might consciously need to ensure that all of those items are kept on their left side. In some cases, when items are placed on the right side of someone suffering from this phobia, they may experience anxiety, panicky behavior, and will struggle to maintain a normal day-to-day life. This condition may lead to a really uncomfortable environment where the sufferer may even avoid public places like markets or parks. So far, it's unknown what creates dextrophobia. However, doctors have discussed some ideas which may relate to this condition. These may include the environment at home, family behavior, a family member having some mental disease, or a traffic accident leading to trauma where they were hit on their right side. A form of obsessive-compulsive disorder may also be one of the causes. Many people suffer from these and other bizarre phobias. So if you are one of them, just know that you're not alone and there is hope and help. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.